You do not need to move. There is no task awaiting you, no decision to make, no direction to follow. This is not a lesson, nor is it a story demanding attention. It is simply a slow journey into the past, a quiet observation of how people once lived, endured, and passed their days. History is often told through great events, wars, victories, names carved into stone, monuments that rise above time. But most lives were not lived in those moments. Most lives were quiet, repetitive, shaped not by ambition, but by routine. Tonight, you will spend time with those ordinary lives. Lives marked by cold mornings, deliberate movements, and long stretches of waiting. Lives where survival was more important than comfort. Where patience was learned early, not as a virtue, but as a skill. Where days followed the rhythm of light and dark, work and rest, without hurry or drama. Imagine yourself there, if you wish, or simply listen. Allow the details to pass slowly, unhurriedly, through your mind. We begin far from comfort, at the edge of empire, in northern lands, where the air is often sharp, the ground damp, the sky heavy or pale, where warmth must be earned and preserved, where survival is structured, quiet, and unremarkable to those who live it. Light enters reluctantly, filtered through small openings designed to keep out the cold rather than welcome the day. Wooden walls are thick, unadorned, functional. Every object has purpose. Every movement has meaning. There is no excess, no indulgence, only persistence, only continuation. The northern landscape stretches quietly outside. Forests stand like patient witnesses. Hills rise and fall without comment. Rivers move slowly, carrying water and ice alike. The sun appears and moves in a shallow arc, reminding you that daylight is limited and precious. Inside, silence is practical. Noise carries far in the cold. Energy is precious. Movement is deliberate. Every task, from tending fire to repairing clothing, is performed with calm efficiency. Words are used sparingly, gestures more often. The rhythm of life here is steady, measured, enduring. Tonight, you will follow this rhythm. Through cold mornings, through labor and observation, through quiet evenings, into the long northern night. You will see how ordinary people endured, how they found structure in repetition, how they passed time without expectation, how life moved gently, slowly, persistently, despite hardship. And as you listen, allow yourself to rest. The world beyond this moment can wait. There is nothing to do, nothing to achieve, only to witness, quietly, the lives of those who came before, in their unremarkable, steady, enduring ways. We begin now, a soft, patient journey into the north, into cold mornings, deliberate labor, measured evenings, and quiet nights. A rhythm that is neither heroic nor exciting, but real, and in its steadiness, perhaps even comforting. As the day begins, the world outside is quiet. You wake before the sun, not because you are ready, but because the cold has already reached through layers of wool and fur. In the northern lands, warmth is never assumed. It is managed, preserved, guarded carefully. Your home is low, wooden, built close to the earth. Thick walls block the wind, not to comfort, but to survive. Light enters reluctantly, through small openings meant to keep out the harshness rather than welcome the day. Outside, the land is vast and restrained. Forests stretch silently, their trees standing like patient witnesses. The sky is pale, sometimes heavy with clouds, sometimes clear but distant. The sun moves slowly, tracing a shallow arc, reminding you that daylight is scarce and precious. The silence is practical. Sound carries far in the cold, and unnecessary noise wastes energy. Movement is measured. Every step has a purpose. Your day begins with necessity. Fire must be checked, embers coaxed back to life, Without heat, nothing else follows. Clothing is stiff from moisture. Leather boots sit nearby, worn smooth by months of walking. They are still slightly wet, but that is expected. You move with the others. Conversation is minimal. Words are unnecessary. Energy must be preserved. Armor, if you have it, is lifted, adjusted, worn again. It presses on your shoulders with familiar weight, heavy but not surprising. Food arrives early. Simple fare. Grain, bread, perhaps something warm. It is eaten quietly, not for pleasure, only to sustain. Hours are spent outside. You walk. You stand. You wait. The ground is uneven. Mud clings to boots. The smell of damp earth lingers. Wind moves through sparse trees, producing a constant, low sound. Most military life here does not involve fighting. It involves presence, being seen, holding space, standing watch along wooden barriers, patrolling paths that rarely change, listening for sounds that usually do not come. Cold settles into fingers and joints. Movement slows. Every motion deliberate. Rules govern where you stand, when you move, how you speak. Discipline is constant and impersonal. Mistakes are noted. Corrections quiet, but firm. Punishment is not emotional. It is simply part of maintaining order. Illness moves easily among the men. Coughs linger. Minor injuries heal slowly. Care exists, but it is limited. Still, the routine continues. Days blend together. Morning, work, waiting, evening. Letters from home are rare. Time passes differently. The world beyond the camp feels distant, almost unreal. By nightfall, exhaustion settles in. Not dramatic, but steady. You lie down again. Cold stone, damp air, quiet sounds of others breathing nearby. Tomorrow will be much the same. This is life for many. Not heroic, not exceptional. Just endured, measured, and familiar. Waiting was not wasted time. It was part of survival. Waiting for light, waiting for weather to soften, waiting for ice to break, waiting for the return of something familiar. People learned patience early, not as a virtue, but as a skill. There was little expectation of change. Tomorrow would resemble today. Next year would resemble the last. This was not depressing. It was stabilizing. Life did not promise improvement. It promised continuity. Children grew into the same rhythms. They learned by watching, by copying movements, by listening without interruption. Words were few. Gestures carried meaning. Silence was not uncomfortable. It was respected. Evenings were long. Darkness arrived early and stayed without apology. Inside, light came from flame. It flickered softly, shortening distances, softening faces. People sat close, not for intimacy, but for warmth. Hands were rarely still, mending, sharpening, preparing for tasks not yet begun. Stories were not performed. They were recalled, fragments of memory, accounts of weather, mentions of loss, occasional humor, dry and brief. Sleep came when exhaustion allowed it, not when schedules demanded it. Beds were simple, often shared. Warmth mattered more than privacy. Outside, the north continued without concern. Wind moved through trees. Snow accumulated silently. Animals followed paths older than people. Humans were visitors here, not owners. They adapted or they left. Most stayed, not because they loved hardship, but because familiarity outweighed comfort. Even within routine, there was purpose. Every small task mattered. Maintaining the fire, ensuring water did not freeze, checking tools, attending animals, each action, a quiet insistence that life must continue. Time moved slowly, measured by labor and presence rather than by clock or sun. Movement was deliberate. Energy was preserved. The body learned the rhythm. And eventually, the mind followed. Fatigue arrived softly, layer by layer, unnoticed until it settled comfortably over every limb. No sudden exhaustion, no collapse, only the steady weight that signaled the day was done, the night approaching, and life enduring. Within this rhythm of cold, routine, and quiet endurance, ordinary life continued steady, unremarked, and complete. There was no heroism, no spectacle, only the slow, persistent continuation of survival. As the day slowly unfolds, work begins not with urgency, but with inevitability. In the Nordic world of the past, labor fills the hours not because of progress, but because stopping is rarely an option. Survival depends on rhythm, routine, repetition. Tasks repeat not out of boredom, but because repetition keeps life stable. You step outside once more. Cold air presses gently against your face. It is not sharp, but persistent, seeping slowly through the layers of wool and fur. The ground beneath your feet is uneven, soft in places, firm in others, occasionally slick with frost. Animals wait. They must endure the same climate you do. Feeding them is slow, deliberate work. Hands move steadily, without wasted motion. Each movement feels necessary, and each pause purposeful. Water must often be freed from ice. A tool strikes carefully, not too hard, not too fast. Each sound echoes slightly, carried by the cold, and disappears almost immediately into the quiet landscape. Tools are simple: wood, iron, stone. They are worn smooth by generations of hands. Nothing here is new. Nothing needs to be. Each scratch, dent, or worn edge carries memory, the presence of those who came before you, performing the same motions day after day. There is little separation between time and labor. You do not measure hours precisely. Instead, you notice the position of the sun, the weight in your arms, the gradual pull of hunger. Each sense becomes an instrument, guiding you through the tasks that define life here. Movement is continuous, but never rushed. Speed wastes energy. Efficiency here is calm, practiced, and unremarkable. Each motion is deliberate, conserving strength, preserving warmth, and maintaining the rhythm of survival. Inside the home, work continues quietly. Clothing is repaired, threads pulled tight with care. Food is prepared methodically. Nothing is done quickly. Nothing is done carelessly. Conversation is minimal, not out of coldness, but habit. Words are used sparingly, like fuel. Most communication happens through motion. A glance, a gesture, a shared understanding of what comes next. Even silence becomes meaningful, a reminder that the day progresses not by speech, but by effort and presence. The body learns these rhythms early. Over time, the mind follows. Work does not feel separate from life. It is life. And as the hours pass, fatigue does not arrive suddenly. It settles slowly, layer by layer. Each task completed contributes to the quiet persistence of survival. Each breath is conscious, each step deliberate, each glance outward a measure of distance and environment. The northern day moves on, unhurried, persistent, constant, shaping both body and thought into the measured cadence of labor, endurance, and quiet endurance. By midday, the rhythm of labor continues steadily. Tasks shift slightly, but the pattern remains. Feed animals again. Clear ice from water sources. Carry wood. Repair tools. Each action deliberate. Each movement careful. Efficiency is quiet. It is not celebrated. It is simply necessary, fundamental to the survival of all within this space. Conversations remain sparse. When words are exchanged, they are calm, functional, brief. There is no need for noise. Silence itself is a companion, a marker of continuity, a reminder that work is never done for pleasure, but for life to endure. You notice the repetition. It is not dull. It is stabilizing. Hours blend into one another. Morning stretches toward afternoon, and you are aware of time only by the sun's subtle shift, the gradual fatigue in your arms, the soft pangs of hunger, and the changing temperature of the air. Inside, small tasks continue. Clothing mended, food prepared for the evening, tools sharpened and readied. Movements are habitual. Hands know their work. Mind follows without strain. Even thought drifts in gentle patterns, looping quietly around the day's actions, unhurried, patient, and almost meditative. Outside, the cold persists. It presses gently on exposed skin. Wind rustles through sparse trees. The northern landscape remains vast, quiet, imposing. Presence here is measured, every step considered, every motion meaningful. Energy is conserved carefully. Survival depends on it, not only for you, but for the community that shares this rhythm. By late afternoon, fatigue becomes a soft weight, not heavy, not urgent, only persistent. The body signals readiness for rest, even as tasks remain. This is normal. This is life, slow, measured, continuous. Every day mirrors the last. Each repetition strengthens endurance, steadies mind, and ensures survival. The day concludes not with ceremony or drama, but with the steady assurance that survival continues, and that repetition itself is a quiet form of mastery. Each task completed adds to the tapestry of routine, creating a rhythm both simple and profound. As the sun lowers and light softens, you move toward the next phase. Evening tasks are brief, deliberate, and complete. Work and life are intertwined, inseparable. The rhythm established over decades continues quietly. And the northern day, long, demanding, and persistent, nears its gentle transition toward night. You pause to feel the cold on your skin, the slow quiet of nature, the soft fatigue of muscles and mind, and the knowledge that the next day will require the same steady endurance. Evening slowly arrives. The light outside softens, shifting through pale grays and muted blues. Shadows stretch across the land, lengthening silently, almost imperceptibly. Inside, the home feels smaller now. Walls appear closer. The fire becomes the center of attention, its soft flicker providing both light and reassurance. You sit or kneel nearby, moving with care, preserving warmth. Hands may be busy, but movement is gentle, deliberate. Food is prepared quietly, simple fare, yet essential. Grain is measured carefully. Bread is broken slowly, often shared with others without conversation. The act itself is enough. Warmth matters more than flavor. Nutrition more than delight. Each bite is functional, each swallow deliberate. Even now, silence is not empty. It is filled with subtle sounds, the crackle of embers, a faint scraping of utensils, the occasional movement of others, adjusting clothing, shifting to preserve heat. The cold remains outside. It presses lightly against walls, reminding all within that survival is never complete. You notice the rhythm of the evening. Nothing is hurried. Nothing is dramatized. Tasks are performed with calm precision. Cleaning, repairing, preparing for the night ahead. Children, if present, follow the same cadence. Not out of instruction, but by imitation. Observing adults, mimicking gestures, absorbing routine as naturally as breathing. Stories may be recalled, but they are fragmented, understated, mentions of weather, accounts of distant events, occasional humor, brief and dry. The past does not shout, it whispers. Evening stretches slowly. The fire's glow casts gentle movement across faces. Shadows sway lightly on walls, softening edges, calming the mind. Sleep is not yet here, but preparation for rest begins. Bodies settle gradually. Hands stop work, only after the last necessary task. Tools are laid aside carefully. Meals concluded, food stored for tomorrow. Breath slows, movements decrease. The mind, still active, begins to drift lightly over the day, remembering what was done, considering what comes next, but never with urgency, only gentle awareness. And outside, the world continues in muted quiet. Wind moves softly through trees. Animals adjust to the fading light. Snow begins to gleam faintly in the diminishing sun. This is evening. Not leisure, not excitement, but the gentle transition from labor to waiting, from day to night. The horizon disappears first, then the distant forest line, until only what is near remains visible. You sit or lie close to the fire, flames providing warmth, soft light, and a steady, reassuring rhythm. Meals are concluded. Food has served its purpose. Fuel for the body, not indulgence. The taste is secondary. The comfort comes from warmth, from fullness, from routine being maintained. Hands are still, but rarely idle. A small task may remain. Clothing is repaired, tools are readied, water secured, conversation is sparse. When it occurs, it is calm, brief, functional. No storytelling, no dramatization. The focus is simply the moment, preserving the evening's rhythm. Outside, the northern night stretches long. Darkness is patient. Cold presses quietly. Wind brushes against walls. Animals find their places. All movement slows. You feel the weight of the day settle into your body. Not heavy, but familiar. A slow kind of fatigue makes rest desirable, even if sleep has not yet arrived. The mind drifts gently, recalling the day's simple patterns. Moments of motion, tasks completed, routines observed. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. Just the continuation of life as it always has been. Sleep approaches gradually, not forced, not sudden. It comes lightly, allowing the body to adjust to the long night ahead. The fire dims, though never fully extinguished. Someone may rise quietly to tend it, guided by habit rather than awareness. Even in the stillness, awareness remains. The cold outside, the quiet movements of others, the steady rhythm of life all remind you that night is not idle. It is a continuation of the day's careful endurance. Shadows lengthen and soften as flamelight flickers across walls. You notice the slow creaking of wood, the settling of the building, a faint murmur of distant wind. The northern night does not hurry. It moves steadily, patiently, deliberately. Your body and mind begin to yield to this rhythm. Movements grow smaller, quieter, more restrained. Thoughts slow. Attention narrows to warmth, light, and the soft, comforting repetition of routine. Outside, snow reflects faintly in darkness. Animals move silently to their resting places. Trees sway without urgency. The world feels contained, yet expansive. Vast, but safe within the small, warm enclosure of your dwelling. Evening stretches into night. Each moment follows the last with gentle persistence. There is no surprise, no spectacle, no drama. Only the calm procession of ordinary life maintained. You lie down or lean back, allowing exhaustion to settle fully. Breath deepens, muscles loosen, and the body conforms to the quiet expectation of rest. The night is long. Cold remains a presence, but it no longer demands attention. Your senses adapt. You notice less. You feel more. Presence becomes soft, diffuse, calming. And so the evening concludes. Not with ceremony, not with spectacle, but with a measured transition from activity to rest, from presence to patience, from warmth to the quiet that precedes sleep. In this way, life in the north continues slowly, steadily, patiently. A rhythm of endurance stretches from dawn through labor and into night, uninterrupted, deliberate, and quietly complete. Now, let us turn to those who live differently, not without hardship, but with shelter, with walls that held heat, fires carefully tended, and spaces that provided relative comfort. Roman senators and abbots, or those in northern villas, experienced life apart from the cold and the constant demand of survival. They moved through rooms designed to conserve warmth, where private spaces allowed small choices. Every object had purpose. Every movement was deliberate. There was quiet, but not idleness. Servants moved efficiently through halls. Tasks were performed according to schedule. Meals arrived regularly. Clothing was maintained. Books were present, read, copied, cataloged. Time was structured, organized, controlled. From the outside, this life may appear comfortable, and in some ways it was. Heat and food were reliable. Labor was not constant, at least not as relentless. Yet comfort did not remove responsibility. It transformed it. Roman senators lived under constant scrutiny. Decisions were weighted. Political alliances shifted silently, unpredictably. Speech was measured. Every action carried consequence. Observation never ceased. Abbots managed land, resolved disputes, and maintained order within their communities. Their authority created structure, but also restraint. Even in warmth and shelter, vigilance remained necessary. Sleep was present, but not always restful. Attention, judgment, and careful thought were ever required. The quiet of these spaces was different from the quiet of labor or cold endurance. Here, stillness was shaped by responsibility. Movement, conversation, and thought were deliberate. Time was controlled, organized, and purposeful. Efficiency, order, and foresight dictated daily life. Power in this context did not erase hardship. It reformed it. Where a soldier endured cold and routine, the elite endured scrutiny and obligation. Where a farmer measured life by survival, the powerful measured life by influence, control, and consequence. The rhythms were different, but the endurance was similar. Evenings passed with quiet tasks. Plans were reviewed. Letters read and written. Decisions considered. Food was consumed thoughtfully. Tasks completed carefully, without rush or excess. In these rooms, warmth was steady, light was controlled, and motion was purposeful. Still, the weight of responsibility created its own measure of strain. Comfort did not equal ease. Power required vigilance, restraint, and awareness at all times. And as night settled, the environment slowed, but attention persisted. Flames flickered softly. Shadows stretched along walls. Hands rested lightly, but minds remained active. The cycle of duty continued, uninterrupted, even in rest. Night deepened, yet the demands of responsibility lingered. Sleep arrived gradually, cautiously, like a soft shadow moving through the room. Those who held power still maintained awareness. Firelight illuminated the space, providing warmth, gentle illumination, and a quiet rhythm that marked passing time. The mind remained alert, reviewing tasks, alliances, and obligations, even as the body sought rest. Every decision mattered. Every word could shift influence. Even the smallest action could ripple through the carefully ordered world of the elite. The rhythm of authority was persistent, unbroken. Even in rest, vigilance existed. The cold outside was absent, but challenges persisted within walls of warmth and security. Servants moved softly through corridors, completing essential tasks. Meals were prepared with care, tools readied, documents arranged. Tasks were deliberate, habitual, and necessary. Each movement contributed to stability, continuity, and order. Every action ensured that the coming day would begin without disorder. Sleep was fragmented, gentle, patient. It arrived slowly, allowing the body to relax, but the mind stayed aware. Thoughts drifted lightly among past decisions, future plans, and the quiet anxieties of duty. Even dreams were measured, passing without excitement, maintaining the soft rhythm of consciousness. Outside, The northern night remained still. Darkness stretched long and steady, enveloping the landscape. Wind brushed silently against walls. Trees whispered softly in the distance. The elite's environment mirrored this quiet persistence. Every motion, every sound, every pause was accounted for, contributing to an unbroken pattern of existence. Comfort did not remove responsibility. Warmth did not eliminate vigilance. Power reshaped it. Responsibility replaced physical labor. Observation replaced exposure to cold, and influence replaced immediate survival. Even with luxuries, life demanded attention, patience, and care. By the deepest hours, even the most alert could rest lightly, but never completely. Flames dimmed to embers. Shadows softened. Movement slowed. Hands rested, but minds remained active, processing, anticipating, planning. The cycle of awareness, care, and duty persisted, quietly persistent, unrelenting. Across halls and rooms, the rhythm of life continued, steady and deliberate. The night was long, but time moved predictably. Sleep and wakefulness blended softly, marking the passage of hours without rush or drama. Life above the cold continued, measured by responsibility rather than exposure, endurance rather than immediate survival. Power, warmth, and comfort coexisted with vigilance, restraint, and a quiet persistence of duty. As the northern night stretched toward dawn, the world waited patiently. The cycle would repeat, tasks would resume, decisions would need consideration, presence would continue steadily, quietly, deliberately. Across all spaces and classes, endurance shaped existence. And here, within these walls, life persisted in a rhythm that was soft, measured, and inevitable. The quiet of the night carried on, blending rest, awareness, and the subtle weight of authority into a slow, continuous flow, unbroken and enduring. Imagine yourself born into the rigid and measured world of Sparta. From the very first breath, your life is guided by rules beyond your choice. Parents care, yet the state governs your existence, shaping every moment. Comfort is minimal, not out of neglect, but by design. Hunger is deliberate, a constant reminder of restraint. Cold touches your skin daily, teaching endurance through quiet persistence. Even play is structured, each movement watched, each gesture noted. You learn early to move with intention, to speak briefly, to obey without hesitation. Daily rhythms are instilled through repetition, subtle but unrelenting. You watch elders, older children, and mentors. Gestures, glances, and short words guide your understanding. Each day brings training, not for amusement, but to form habit. Your body begins to recognize the gentle, constant push of effort. Tasks repeat, running, lifting, simple drills over and over. Every movement carries instruction. Every pause teaches patience. Discomfort becomes familiar, not shocking. Cold is no longer unpleasant. It is expected. Hunger is functional, shaping attention and resilience. Silence dominates the spaces you inhabit. Words are scarce, used only when necessary. Even laughter is brief, measured, almost whispered. Observation is constant, shaping behavior quietly, without fanfare. Patterns emerge. Days blend together. Training, rest, repetition, sleep arriving only when the body allows. Nights are long, dark, and patient, stretching slowly toward dawn. Light enters gradually, pale and distant, marking time in subtle shifts. The world feels vast, cold, enduring beyond any imagined comfort. You begin to feel the rhythm of life itself, the slow shaping of mind and body. Every day is an exercise in persistence. Every moment is part of the same quiet lesson. You notice the sway of trees, the sound of footsteps across dirt and stone, the distant calls of birds or animals, all woven into the backdrop of discipline. Meals are simple, functional, and quiet. Each bite reminds you of nourishment's role in survival, not pleasure. Even play and interaction follow unspoken rules. You move in harmony with others, recognizing small cues and subtle gestures. This shared rhythm forms the foundation of endurance. Each repetition strengthens both body and understanding. Over time, the agoj molds your mind as surely as your frame. Sleep arrives lightly, dreams fleeting, resting only enough to rise and continue. The lessons are subtle, woven into every breath, every step, every heartbeat. You are part of a system larger than yourself, a silent current of measured life, learning the patience and persistence that will carry you forward. In this quiet, structured existence, strength grows not through sudden action or display, but through slow, deliberate repetition. Your days are unremarkable to an outsider, yet profound in shaping endurance, restraint, and quiet mastery of the self. The world of a Spartan child is not harsh for spectacle, but carefully, methodically designed to instill resilience and calm. You begin to understand how life unfolds under this gentle, persistent pressure, and how every moment is quietly dedicated to forming both body and mind into the shape expected by centuries of tradition. By midday, the rhythm of life continues steadily. Training shifts slightly, but the structure remains. Every action has purpose. Running, lifting, simple drills repeat in quiet succession. Your body moves with familiarity, muscles remembering the constant push. Cold presses against skin exposed between layers, wind brushing lightly, reminding you that endurance is always present. Hunger tugs gently, but it is known, expected, never sudden. Each task is deliberate. You lift, strike, run, and pause, the sequence unhurried, measured, exact. Around you, other children move in harmony, each aware of the rules, each absorbing the silent lessons. Conversation is minimal, calm, practical. Words carry meaning, but few are needed. Glances, nods, brief gestures communicate intent. The silence itself becomes a companion, a rhythm that guides movement and thought. You notice patterns forming, subtle yet constant. Each repetition strengthens coordination, patience, and focus. Even minor errors are corrected with quiet observation rather than harsh words. Over hours, fatigue accumulates slowly, layer by layer, shaping both body and attention. You rest briefly, not for indulgence, but because the body requires it. Meals are functional, taken with care, reinforcing routine rather than pleasure. Food is simple grains, bread, occasionally meat eaten quietly, without conversation, unless necessary. The small details matter: tying laces, adjusting clothing, arranging tools, each movement performed as part of discipline. Afternoon passes, sunlight shifting subtly, marking time in gentle increments. The outside world continues indifferently. Trees sway softly. Distant animals move along hidden paths. Wind carries sound lightly across the ground. You are aware of it, but it does not distract. Focus remains on the rhythm of training, the repetition of tasks, the slow molding of endurance. As evening approaches, movements grow deliberate yet unhurried. The body knows the pattern. The mind follows effortlessly. Training is almost meditative in its repetition, each action reinforcing lessons taught quietly from the earliest days. Evenings are calm, functional. Tasks are completed, clothing repaired, tools prepared for tomorrow. Routines concluded without rush or ceremony. Fatigue settles gently into the muscles, a soft, familiar weight signaling that the day's work is done. You notice the quiet of the surroundings, the gentle rustle of leaves, distant calls of animals, the subdued murmurs of others. Sleep will arrive soon, lightly and patiently, preparing the body to rise again, to continue the steady rhythm. Every movement, every breath, every repetition has contributed to shaping endurance, patience, and quiet strength. There is no spectacle, no drama, no sudden excitement. Life in the Agoj moves forward in measured increments, teaching that strength is built slowly, quietly, persistently. By the end of this day, you understand a small part of what it means to belong to this world, to move with its rhythm, and to accept that the shaping of body and mind is a continuous, gentle, unrelenting process that unfolds over years, guiding every aspect of life in ways subtle yet profoundly enduring. The sun rises slowly over Sparta, and your day begins again, not with choice, but with the expectation of discipline. You rise, dress quickly yet carefully, ensuring that every strap, every fold of clothing is in order. Breakfast is functional grains, perhaps a small portion of cheese, water, and taken in silence, alongside others who share the same routine. Conversation is minimal. Words are used sparingly, to convey only what is necessary. The focus is on readiness, preparation, and awareness. Outside, the courtyard is already alive with movement. Older youths run laps, their strides steady and measured. Others lift, carry, or practice drills under watchful eyes. You join them, your body moving as it has learned. Every repetition teaches control. Every motion reinforces coordination and patience. Silence is constant, punctuated only by the soft commands of instructors or the occasional measured whistle. You begin to notice subtle details, the way a foot lands on the stone, the precise placement of a hand, the angle of a spear held just so. These details matter, though they are observed quietly, without fuss or commentary. Training is not thrilling. It is a practice in awareness. You become aware of your own breathing, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the tension in muscles as you lift or run. Small successes are acknowledged internally, without celebration. Errors are corrected, gently, with guidance rather than scolding. The day unfolds in a predictable, measured pattern. Repetition is central. Tasks vary slightly, but the underlying rhythm remains. Move, pause, adjust, repeat. Fatigue grows slowly, a familiar companion. Hunger returns gently, reminding you to focus, to respect the structure of the day. By mid-morning, you have learned that stillness is as important as movement. Pauses are intentional, a chance to align body and mind. Observation becomes part of practice. Watching others, learning from their quiet mastery, adds depth to the repetition. Every small action contributes to shaping endurance, mental focus, and the subtle art of control. You notice how even the smallest tasks, the careful setting of a shield, the placement of sandals, the adjustment of armor carry meaning and significance, reinforcing discipline through detail. Light shifts gently across the courtyard, marking time without urgency. The day continues, slow, deliberate, continuous, teaching the value of patience, the quiet accumulation of strength, and the constant refinement of body and mind. By afternoon, the repetition continues. Movements are familiar, precise, and purposeful. Tasks are slightly varied, but the core rhythm remains unbroken. Running laps, lifting weights, practicing spear drills. Each action is deliberate, measured, and continuous. Silence dominates, broken only by brief instructions or corrections, each delivered calmly, without urgency or emotion. The cold air brushes against your skin, carrying subtle sounds of the training ground. Footsteps, shifting armor, distant calls. You feel each motion in your muscles, each breath in your chest, every shift of weight as your body learns endurance and control. Awareness is constant. Even in repetition, attention is trained. Fatigue settles in gradually, soft and persistent. Hunger tugs gently, but meals have been planned. Functional food provides fuel rather than delight, reinforcing the quiet rhythm of life. Observation remains central. You notice the stance of peers, the precision of gestures, the subtle alignment of posture. Each correction is absorbed, integrated into the next repetition. movement and thought intertwine. The mind drifts gently through patterns, recalling sequences, anticipating next steps, internalizing the lessons of the day. Evening approaches slowly. Tasks conclude, equipment is returned to place, and minor repairs are performed on clothing or tools. The sun lowers, light softening, casting long shadows across the training ground. Fatigue becomes familiar, a gentle weight settling in your body. Rest will follow, brief but sufficient, allowing the cycle to continue. Training does not end abruptly. It flows into the calm of evening, reinforcing the lessons of patience, endurance, and quiet discipline. Each day repeats, subtly different, yet following the same measured course. Life in the Agoge is not dramatic, not thrilling, but continuous, building strength, resilience, and focus quietly, persistently, with every deliberate step. And as darkness descends, you reflect on the rhythm of life here, the repetition, the silence, the constant shaping of body and mind, understanding that in this quiet, structured existence, strength is built not through spectacle, but through patience, attention, and steady persistence. As you step into adult life in Sparta, the quiet weight of responsibility becomes more apparent. Your body, trained through years of repetition, moves efficiently, without hesitation. Every action is deliberate. You awaken early, before the sun rises fully, to ensure readiness. Clothing is simple, functional, and carefully maintained. Breakfast is plain and necessary grains, a bit of cheese, water. Conversation is minimal. Silence dominates. Outside, the training grounds await. Adults take on heavier burdens. Lifting, running, drills. Each exercise builds not just strength, but focus and endurance. Movement is precise. Every step, every gesture is observed. Mistakes are corrected quietly, firmly, without trauma. Even in repetition, attention is sharpened. Tasks that once seemed mundane now carry weight. Carrying water, tending animals, maintaining weapons, organizing equipment. Each contributes to the smooth functioning of daily life. You notice the small interactions among peers, gestures, glances, unspoken agreements that ensure order. Fatigue comes slowly, layering over your body and mind, familiar and predictable. Hunger returns predictably, met with simple sustenance. Meals are functional, not indulgent, reinforcing the constant rhythm of life. You begin to sense the psychological pressures of adulthood. Decisions carry consequences not only for yourself, but for the group. Observation is constant. Your actions are measured. Every word, every movement, subtly reflects discipline and training. Even moments of rest are brief and purposeful. The rhythm of life labor, observation, repetition continues unbroken. Outside, the northern landscape stretches, quiet and imposing, demanding respect. Life is persistent, structured, and demanding. You have learned endurance, yet now endurance extends beyond the body, into mind and decision-making. Strength alone is insufficient. Focus, patience, and constant awareness are equally vital. By midday, you notice how seamlessly daily tasks, training, and social expectations intertwine. Every motion, no matter how small, contributes to the larger fabric of life. Silence, repetition, and attention define your existence. Even in mundane acts, sharpening a spear, lifting a weight, arranging supplies, purpose is present. These routines, repeated daily, are not exciting, yet they ensure continuity, mastery, and preparation for whatever challenges may arise. Light shifts slowly. The sun moves across the sky, marking hours without urgency. The body follows its rhythm, guided by years of habitual practice. Tasks continue steadily, unbroken, teaching patience, persistence, and the quiet resilience that defines adult Spartan life. Afternoon arrives, and life in Sparta remains steady, demanding, and continuous. Tasks flow seamlessly from one to the next. Training continues, now with added weight and intensity. You lift, run, practice combat drills, all precise, deliberate, and observed by those with experience. Correction comes without dramatization, quietly shaping actions and behavior. Fatigue accumulates softly, like a gentle pressure across muscles and joints, familiar and unremarkable. Meals are functional, brief, sustaining the body, never indulgent. Every act, even the smallest, reinforces discipline. Observation is ongoing. Peers communicate silently through gestures, glances, or brief words. Understanding comes from experience, repetition, and subtle cues. Life is structured. Each day is predictable yet demanding. Even rest is purposeful. You lie down briefly, muscles relaxing, body preparing for the continuation of routine. There is no indulgence. Comfort is secondary. Focus and endurance dominate. Outside, the landscape is quiet. The sun softens as evening approaches. Shadows lengthen. Light diminishes slowly. Your body and mind follow the steady rhythm of daily life. Repetition, observation, and discipline are continuous. Every task contributes to endurance, mental sharpness, and group cohesion. Small actions, seemingly insignificant, carry weight. Every movement, whether tending a weapon, arranging supplies, or walking silently, matters. Awareness is constant. Even brief pauses are intentional, reinforcing control over thought and motion. As evening arrives, training concludes gradually. Tools are maintained, clothing repaired, meals prepared. Each act is deliberate, quietly observed, performed with attention. Fatigue settles comfortably. Hunger is satisfied. The rhythm of life labor, observation, repetition remains uninterrupted. By nightfall, you reflect on the demands of adulthood. Strength is not merely physical. It is mental, emotional, and social. Life is continuous, structured, and demanding. Every day builds on the last, forming the steady accumulation of discipline, focus, and resilience that defines adult Spartan existence. The cycle continues quietly, unceasingly, shaping the body, mind, and spirit, preparing each individual for the responsibility, endurance, and challenges that lie ahead. As a leader in Sparta, the weight of responsibility settles firmly on your shoulders. Authority is constant, and every decision carries consequence. Even small choices ripple through the lives of those you command. The day begins before dawn. You rise with the others, but your mind is already occupied with planning, with strategy, with observation. Meals are brief and functional. Food nourishes the body, but comfort is rare. Clothing is simple, practical, yet carefully maintained. Every item, every detail reflects discipline and order. Outside, the training grounds are alive with activity. Soldiers move with precision. Drills repeat endlessly, each motion observed. Corrections are delivered quietly, without dramatization, shaping behavior subtly but persistently. You watch, listen, and guide. Leadership here is not about praise or indulgence. It is about vigilance. Each action is measured, each word intentional. You notice small interactions among your people, gestures, glances, silent communication that ensures cohesion and efficiency. Observation is constant, and correction comes from a mixture of authority, experience, and understanding. Fatigue builds gradually, layered over hours of sustained attention. Hunger appears predictably, met with modest, functional meals. Even moments of rest are limited, often spent planning, reflecting, or ensuring continuity of the day's work. Outside, the Spartan landscape stretches silently. The sun moves slowly, marking the passage of time without urgency. Every shadow, every shift in light is observed and accounted for. By midday, you recognize the rhythm of leadership: observation, correction, guidance, endurance. Power here is never effortless. It demands constant mental and physical presence. Small actions adjusting a line of soldiers, reviewing a schedule, offering a brief word of direction carry meaning. Every movement, every decision, contributes to the smooth functioning of the state. Even quiet moments are purposeful, reinforcing vigilance, patience, and subtle influence. Life is demanding, continuous, and structured. It is not dramatic, not heroic in the way stories often claim, but steady, enduring, and precise. The day progresses in this quiet, persistent rhythm. Authority is present, shaping lives subtly, firmly, unceasingly, preparing those under your care for the challenges and expectations of Sparta. Afternoon arrives, and leadership continues with unbroken attention. You move through the spaces of command, ensuring that tasks are performed correctly, that routines are maintained, that order is preserved. Small corrections are delivered quietly, observing, adjusting, reinforcing. The body feels fatigue slowly, a familiar companion. Hunger returns predictably, addressed with modest sustenance. Conversations are brief, functional, precise. Even instructions are measured. Words carry weight. Silence is often more powerful. You notice the subtleties of behavior among those you lead. A glance, a posture, a hesitation all communicate meaning. Leadership requires constant awareness, patience, and subtle influence. Decision-making is quiet but consequential. Each choice, each adjustment, affects the rhythm and function of daily life. Outside, the sun softens, light wanes slowly, shadows lengthen. The landscape seems both steady and imposing, a mirror of the structure and endurance demanded inside the state. Evening approaches, yet work does not cease entirely. Plans are reviewed, supplies checked, routines prepared for the following day. Fatigue layers gently, but persistently, signaling readiness for rest, yet awareness remains. Sleep is measured, purposeful, brief, allowing the body to recover while the mind continues to maintain vigilance. Power, in Sparta, is not liberating. It is demanding. Authority does not erase responsibility. It amplifies it. Every day is a continuation of the same quiet, structured, persistent effort. Strength carries a cost. Control, focus, and endurance are constant companions. As night falls, you reflect on the cumulative weight of leadership. The rhythm of life observation, correction, guidance, endurance remains unbroken. Even as darkness spreads, vigilance, responsibility, and the subtle influence of authority continue. In this quiet, persistent rhythm, life as a Spartan leader is steady, demanding, and continuous. Every action, every word, every observation is purposeful. Even in rest, the cycle of authority, discipline, and endurance shapes body, mind, and spirit, preparing you and those you guide for the continuing demands of Spartan existence. Imagine yourself walking through the remains of an ancient northern fort, far from the warmth of any hearth. The walls, once sturdy and precise, are now weathered and softened by centuries of wind, rain, and snow. Moss and lichen cling to every stone, slowly reclaiming what was built by human hands. You step carefully, feeling the uneven ground beneath your boots, aware of each shift in the stones, each dip and rise. The air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of damp earth, old wood, and iron left behind long ago. It is quiet, yet not empty. Birds call intermittently, their voices echoing softly across the open courtyards, reminders that life continues even where human presence has faded. You follow the outlines of the buildings, tracing walls and doorways with your gaze. Towers rise, hollow and silent, once meant to guard, now standing as passive witnesses. Courtyards are overgrown, yet traces of movement linger. Footsteps once mapped these spaces repeatedly. Fires once flickered, warming soldiers, cooks, and children. Tools were used and set aside. Meals were prepared and eaten. The rhythm of life structured, disciplined, persistent once filled every inch of this fort. And now, only fragments remain. A shallow depression in the ground suggests where a post once stood. A piece of pottery, chipped and faded, hints at meals shared quietly long ago. A worn threshold marks passage after passage of countless feet. The details are subtle but persistent. Each stone, each scar in the timber, tells a story of endurance. Life was repetitive, measured, and continuous. You imagine the soldiers waking before dawn, tending fires, performing drills, and walking their patrols with deliberate steps. Orders were given quietly, movements repeated meticulously, tasks performed with calm precision. Silence was respected, and each day followed the last in a cycle that shaped body and mind alike. Standing here, you feel both absence and presence. The fort communicates not through spectacle, but through the lingering imprint of everyday life. You sense the persistence of habit, the quiet mastery of endurance, the slow, methodical repetition of tasks that define ordinary existence. Time stretches differently here, shaped not by drama, but by the rhythm of small, necessary actions. Each moment, once mundane, now resonates across centuries, inviting you to observe and reflect. You pause and take in the horizon. Beyond the walls, the land opens into forests and hills, silent, patient, enduring. Nature begins to reclaim the fort, but the human imprint endures in traces. Stones shifted into place, pathways softened by countless feet, spaces shaped for living, for working, for enduring the long northern days. Presence and absence merge, and in this stillness, you find the subtle pulse of history. As you continue through the fort, your attention settles on the details that time has not erased. Doorways are narrow and worn, thresholds polished by generations of passing feet. Windows are few, small, designed to keep warmth in and wind out. Floors, uneven and cold, remind you how careful one had to be with every step. Every feature of the fort reflects purpose, efficiency, utility, and endurance, not comfort. You move through what may have been kitchens, barracks, or storage rooms, each space whispering of lives lived in repetition and quiet discipline. Fires once crackled in hearths. Tools once scraped, hammered, and rested in preparation for the next task. Children learned to walk and run within these spaces. Soldiers trained, routines repeated again and again. Outside, the northern wind moves through the empty courtyards, brushing against stone and timber with a soft, insistent rhythm. The fort, though abandoned, carries the memory of life in every echo. Each footstep you take reminds you of countless others that came before, each hand that carried wood, each motion performed with deliberate precision. The air holds the subtle pattern of daily life: work, rest, observation, repetition. Nothing dramatic occurred here. Nothing required heroics. Yet the persistence of ordinary lives left its mark, and that mark endures long after people have gone. You notice the surrounding landscape through broken walls. Trees stand silent, their roots slowly reclaiming the land. Paths stretch toward forests, rivers, or distant hills. The fort was once part of a larger network of settlements, each reliant on routine, labor, and endurance. Now, nature quietly envelops it, moss creeping over stone, roots lifting cobbles, grass softening pathways. Human presence remains, but it is subtle, expressed in texture and shape rather than sound or movement. The lives here were structured. Days were long, measured, and repetitive. Food was prepared, fires maintained, tools repaired, tasks repeated. Conversation was minimal. Silence was expected, not oppressive, but natural, part of the rhythm that governed existence. You imagine those who once lived here, enduring cold mornings, measured work, and quiet evenings. Each action was part of a larger pattern, each day blending seamlessly into the next. You pause to listen. There is only the wind, the distant call of birds, and the soft echo of your own breath. And yet, the fort speaks in other ways. In the spacing of walls, the tilt of stones, the marks in the ground where posts once stood. It tells of human patience, quiet labor, and the endurance necessary to survive. It reminds you that history is often written in small, unremarkable actions rather than grand events. And standing here, you recognize the quiet persistence of life itself, the gentle imprint of countless days endured, and the steady, enduring rhythm of existence that continues to whisper even in absence. You find yourself walking along the remains of a remote monastery, perched on a quiet northern hillside. The building is worn and softened by centuries, yet its presence still commands attention. Stones are stacked with care, though many have shifted or crumbled over time. Windows are small and deep-set, designed to protect against cold and wind, letting only narrow beams of light reach the interior. Doors hang slightly askew, hinges rusted, but still suggest the weight and intent of what was once carefully maintained. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of damp stone, moss, and distant wood smoke from long-vanished fires. Birds move through the sky silently, occasionally calling across the open spaces, a reminder that life persists even in places where human presence has receded. Inside, the spaces are orderly. You can imagine monks moving deliberately from one task to another, each step measured, each gesture purposeful. Silence was not empty here. It was deliberate, a companion to work and reflection. The day followed a strict schedule: prayers, tending gardens, cleaning, repairing, reading by faint light, and repeating the same actions day after day. Repetition was not monotonous. It was stabilizing, shaping the mind and body alike. You noticed the small details: grooves worn into stone by feet, the discoloration of wood where hands repeatedly rested, faint marks on tables where writing or craft once occurred. Each detail tells a story of endurance, quiet focus, and the careful attention demanded by monastic life. Outside, the surrounding landscape stretches vast and silent. Trees sway gently in the wind. Paths lead to fields or forests, but many are overgrown, hinting at the reduced presence of people over time. You imagine the monks walking these paths in solitude, tending herbs, drawing water, or transporting firewood. Each step is measured, each motion part of a larger rhythm. Days blend, weeks repeat, and life is defined by steady, deliberate action rather than excitement. You pause to observe the horizon. Light filters softly through clouds, casting muted shadows across the ruins. The monastery exists quietly, a marker of human presence that has endured through cycles of activity and abandonment. You sense both absence and persistence. Though no one moves through these halls now, the impression of lives once lived remains in every surface, every corner, every worn stone. There is a rhythm here, subtle and enduring, a testament to the quiet continuity of human routine. Continuing your exploration, you notice more of the monastery's details. Rooms once filled with books are empty, but dust and fading inscriptions remain, hinting at the intellectual lives once led within these walls. Stone sinks, shallow basins, and worn benches speak of daily rituals performed over countless years. Fireplaces, now cold and empty, suggest warmth carefully managed, the soft glow of flames providing both light and reassurance in long, dark winters. Every object, every surface, reflects a life shaped by repetition, patience, and deliberate focus. Outside, the wind moved through the courtyards, rustling leaves and carrying the faint scent of distant water. The buildings, though silent, convey motion through memory. You imagine the sound of steps on stone floors, the murmur of prayers, the scraping of tools, the quiet rustle of garments. Life was persistent but gentle, a rhythm of small necessary actions repeated over and over. There was no rush, no spectacle, only the ongoing effort to maintain order, cleanliness, and continuity. You walk slowly through a garden overgrown with grass and weeds. Stones mark former planting beds. Paths once clear are softened by years of wind and rain. Monks moved through these spaces with precision, tending herbs for food or medicine, planting seeds in carefully measured rows, watering with care. Every action contributed to survival and self-sufficiency. Each day mirrored the last in pace and purpose, yet within this repetition, life found its quiet stability. The monastery's architecture itself speaks of thought and intention. Thick walls shielded against cold, small windows limited exposure, and narrow passageways guided movement efficiently. Time within these walls was controlled, regulated, and deliberate. Nothing was wasted. Light and warmth were resources carefully preserved, just as attention and energy were conserved through habit and routine. As the day wanes, the silence deepens. Shadows stretch long across worn floors and empty courtyards. You notice the layering of human presence over time. Marks in stone, the softened edges of wood, remnants of tools, and the imprint of footsteps repeated over generations. These traces speak not of drama, but of quiet persistence, of patience, of human life maintained through rhythm and careful attention. Standing quietly, you sense the endurance embedded in the monastery. Lives once lived continue to echo softly, their lessons subtle. Repetition, observation, patience, and steady care. Even in absence, the monastery communicates a sense of measured existence, the quiet strength of routine, and the ongoing whisper of human presence long after people have gone. You follow a narrow path leading to an abandoned fort, perched high above a fjord. The walls are rough-hewn, thick, and cold, yet they still hold the memory of order and purpose. Stone steps, worn smooth by generations of soldiers, rise unevenly toward the main courtyard. The air carries a faint scent of sea and lichen, mingled with the lingering essence of smoke from long extinguished fires. You can almost hear the muted echo of footsteps on stone, the quiet commands given in measured tones, and the subtle shuffle of armor against walls. Inside the fort, rooms are small and functional. Narrow bunks line the walls. Wooden tables are scarred and weathered. Tools hang in simple racks, worn smooth by hands that never rested. Every object hints at the discipline required to survive in this remote northern location. Life here was not luxurious. It was practical. Warmth was scarce, rations were limited, and the wind found every weak point in the walls. Yet these spaces were carefully maintained. Attention to detail, order, and routine allowed life to continue despite the cold, the isolation, and the harsh seasons. Outside, the surrounding landscape stretches vast and imposing. Rocky cliffs descend sharply into dark water, waves moving slowly below. Sparse vegetation clings to the edges. Paths lead to the water, to watch points, and to the limited fields that could be cultivated. Soldiers once patrolled these paths, repeating the same routines day after day. Presence was as important as action. Each step measured, each movement precise. Energy was conserved carefully, and every action served survival rather than comfort. You imagine the quiet rhythm of fort life. Early mornings waking to the cold, small meals eaten quickly, equipment inspected and maintained, long hours standing watch or patrolling the perimeter. There was little excitement, yet a constant demand to endure, to be seen, to remain ready. Patterns emerged naturally. Tasks repeated. Days were predictable. Fatigue was constant but manageable, layered gently over time. Even in this remote fortress, life persisted through small, deliberate actions repeated endlessly, quietly shaping mind and body. As evening approaches, light softens across the stone walls. Shadows lengthen, and the sound of distant waves mingles with the whisper of wind through battlements. The fort is silent now, yet the presence of those who lived here lingers. Footsteps, conversations, work, observation all etched into the very walls, absorbed into the structure, a subtle testimony to human endurance. You sense that life here, though harsh, was not chaotic. It followed a rhythm, slow, steady, and almost imperceptible, a continuity that allowed survival and maintained order in a place where nature was relentless and unyielding. You move deeper into the fort, exploring small chambers and corridors that were once filled with life and purpose. Stone floors are uneven. Dust collects in corners. Rusted hinges and remnants of iron tools hint at daily routines performed without fanfare. Everything has function. Nothing exists for show. The walls themselves carry the memory of countless steps, repeated in quiet cycles, each one a lesson in endurance and stability. You pause to imagine the soldier's perspective. Hours spent standing guard, inspecting weapons, maintaining the perimeter. Meals taken quietly, often alone or in small groups. Conversations are brief, functional, and measured. Silence is a constant companion. Words are used sparingly. Observation and patience are more valuable than speech. Life is defined by careful repetition, by noticing subtle shifts in weather, wind, and light. These small attentions allowed existence to continue in a world where comfort was scarce and the cold was persistent. Outside, the landscape remains vast, quiet, and imposing. Rocky cliffs descend sharply to dark water below, waves moving slowly, whispering against the stone. Sparse vegetation struggles to survive in thin soil. Paths once trodden by soldiers are now softened by moss and wind. The fort itself, though empty, seems alive in memory. The rhythm of movement, work, and observation echoes softly, as though the structure itself remembers and continues to teach the lessons of endurance. Inside, small tasks continue in memory. Beds were made, weapons cleaned, tools sharpened. Fires were maintained carefully, their warmth essential yet never abundant. Every action, though minor, carried meaning. Energy was preserved. Motion was efficient, deliberate, and repeated with subtle attention. The monotony was stabilizing. Each day mirrored the last. Fatigue layered gradually, creating a sense of measured persistence rather than sudden strain. As night approaches, shadows stretch across worn stone, softening the sharp edges of walls and passageways. You sense the passage of countless evenings, each one quiet, functional, deliberate. Footsteps, whispers, small movements, all absorbed into the fort itself. Presence was continuous, though understated. Life here was never dramatic. It was steady, practical, disciplined. And even in absence, the fort communicates its quiet lesson. Survival depends not on heroism, but on patience, repetition, and attention to the smallest details. Standing quietly, you observe the lingering memory of human life. Though empty now, the fort teaches the same lesson as it always did. Endurance is quiet. Strength is subtle. Survival is measured not in moments of excitement, but in long stretches of persistent, thoughtful action. Even as time passes and people depart, the rhythm remains. Life in this northern place continues softly, steadily, almost imperceptibly, through memory, stone, and air. You turn your attention from the empty fort to the lives of those who held authority in northern lands. Not soldiers, not laborers, but leaders, abbots, and landowners who navigated the same cold yet lived differently. Their spaces are warmer, carefully constructed, stone walls thick but more refined, fires maintained continuously, wooden floors polished, windows small yet positioned to catch light when it arrives, creating pockets of quiet warmth. Servants move deliberately, performing tasks that maintain comfort. Meals are prepared with more care, though simplicity still dominates. Books and scrolls rest on shelves, pages fragile yet significant. Time is structured. Routines are detailed. Every hour accounted for. Comfort exists, but is bounded. Luxury is rare. Convenience is practical, not indulgent. The responsibilities of power weigh heavily. Roman senators or abbots may sit in warmth, yet their minds never fully rest. Decisions, alliances, disputes each requires attention. Political intrigue is constant, subtle, unrelenting. Presence is demanded. Words carry consequences. Observation is continuous. Even within a warm hall, the cold remains not in temperature, but in expectation. Daily life here differs from the laborers' and soldiers' lives, yet hardship persists. Sleep is limited. Rest is calculated. Meals nourish, but they do not soothe. Hands may be idle, but the mind is engaged, moving through problem after problem, planning, advising, judging. Energy is not wasted on noise or excess. Silence here is discipline. Comfort is measured. You walk through corridors of quiet authority. Each room speaks of order, of control maintained carefully over both people and space. Chairs, tables, and writing instruments are arranged deliberately. Candles are lit and extinguished with precision. Servants follow unseen paths. Tasks are completed without fanfare. The rhythms of their day are subtle, almost imperceptible, yet exacting. Outside, the cold lands stretch as they always have. Leaders are not removed from the harshness. They negotiate it differently. Thick cloaks and heated rooms offer protection, but responsibility ensures they are never free. The frost remains a presence. Every decision carries weight. Every misstep is noted. Power does not remove difficulty, it transforms it. Evening approaches, and quiet descends. Fires burn longer, yet sleep comes in measured intervals. The cold outside serves as a reminder of the world beyond control. The warmth within is a fragile, carefully maintained illusion, yet it is enough. It is a different endurance, a different rhythm, but endurance nonetheless. As night deepens, the northern darkness stretches across the land. Inside halls of authority, shadows grow long. Candles flicker softly, revealing the subtle textures of walls, the precise arrangement of objects, the care with which spaces are maintained. Each movement is deliberate. Servants and attendants move quietly, performing tasks that ensure comfort and function, almost invisible to those they serve. You imagine the minds of these leaders. Political decisions, land management, and spiritual oversight occupy thoughts continuously. Even in moments of stillness, attention is required. Sleep is light, fragmented. Dreams come and go quietly, often interrupted by reminders of responsibility. Rest exists, but not as surrender. It is calculated, brief, controlled. The rhythms of life are less physical than in the lower ranks, but no less demanding. Every choice has consequence. Every action is noted. Meals, readings, correspondence, and meetings all structured. Even leisure is measured. The cold beyond the walls serves as constant reminder. Protection is temporary. Control is continuous. Comfort is never absolute. Yet within this discipline, there is a different kind of endurance. Unlike soldiers, whose days are shaped by repeated motion, or farmers, whose survival depends on labor, the leader's endurance is mental. Vigilance is constant. Observation never ceases. Energy is expended quietly, subtly, yet persistently. Their power provides insulation, but the cost is attention, responsibility, and subtle, unending effort. Walking the halls, you note the careful alignment of furnishings, the meticulous maintenance of firewood, the precise storage of provisions. Each action small, repetitive, yet essential. Order here is as critical as warmth outside. It ensures survival not only of self, but of those who depend on this structure, this guidance, this continuity. Night deepens further. The land outside is silent, vast, and imposing. Inside, the occupants rest lightly. Bodies may lie still, but minds remain engaged, quietly attending to the web of responsibility, anticipating the needs of tomorrow. The warmth is real, yet fragile. The cold remains a presence, not in force, but in reminder. Discipline, observation, and patience form the rhythm of this existence. By the end of night, the quiet persistence of these northern leaders is evident. Life continues, not through dramatic action, but through careful maintenance, measured decision, and constant vigilance. Their endurance is subtle, often unnoticed, but absolute. And as darkness fades, the day will begin again, following the same patterns, the same rhythms, demanding the same quiet commitment to presence, responsibility, and survival. The day begins quietly. The warmth fills the room before you rise. Walls are thick and insulating, holding heat from the fire long after nightfall. Light enters softly through small windows or wooden shutters, gentle and indirect, diffused across surfaces. You stand slowly, aware of each movement. The floor beneath your feet is smooth, worn by years of use, yet steady. Every object has its place. Simple furniture, carefully arranged, serves function rather than display. The air carries the subtle scent of burning wood, mixed with the faint aroma of grains, bread, or herbs stored nearby. Silence accompanies you. It is not empty. It is attentive, respectful, purposeful. You hear only what is necessary. The crackle of the fire, the soft footsteps of servants moving to begin their duties, the shifting of tools or materials. Even in comfort, the space demands vigilance. The fire must be maintained. Embers arranged, logs positioned, coals stirred, tools aligned, sharpened, and prepared. Nothing is accidental. Each small task follows a rhythm established over years, a quiet choreography that preserves order and warmth. Movement here is deliberate, each step measured, each gesture intentional. Energy is conserved. Waste is avoided. The body moves easily, familiar with these motions, but the mind remains alert, cataloging, observing, anticipating what must be done next. You notice textures, surfaces, the difference between smooth wood and rough stone, the subtle warmth of the walls, the flicker of shadows across the room. Even the light itself becomes part of the rhythm, changing gradually, shaping your perception of time. Comfort exists, yet it is never indulgent. It carries expectations. Every object, every action requires attention. Small mistakes can disrupt the balance of the room, disturb the flow of routine. Outside, the cold presses against windows and shutters. Snow drifts quietly. Wind brushes the walls. Yet inside, warmth is preserved, deliberate and controlled. You begin to understand that life above the cold requires constant mindfulness. Even in stillness, vigilance remains. Hands move almost automatically, checking embers, adjusting objects, noting the placement of tools or books, arranging supplies for the day. Each motion is small, measured, yet contributes to the greater stability of the space. You hear the faint rustle of clothing, the movement of the firewood, the quiet shuffle of pages, or the brushing of hands across smooth surfaces. Nothing is hurried, nothing is wasted. Time is counted not in hours, but in completion of tasks, in the subtle shifting of light, in the maintenance of order. Awareness here is constant but gentle. Comfort is sustained by attention. Even as the room provides shelter and warmth, it reminds you that privilege carries responsibility. The rhythm of domestic life sets the pace of the day. You move with it, absorbed in repetition, in the quiet work that ensures survival and calm. And in this steady, careful motion, you experience a sense of continuity, of stability, of life maintained deliberately, softly, without spectacle. This is what it means to live above the cold, to enjoy warmth, structure, and comfort, yet never without effort, observation, and care. By mid-morning, the room hums with quiet activity. Servants move efficiently, almost invisibly, tending to their assigned duties. Food is prepared with care, bread sliced, porridge stirred, herbs added in measured amounts. Nothing is rushed. The sounds are minimal but purposeful, the scrape of a knife, the soft thud of a log placed upon coals, the gentle clink of pottery. Each motion contributes to the preservation of comfort, each gesture part of a subtle choreography that maintains warmth, order, and stability. You move among them, observing without intrusion. Steps are slow, deliberate, familiar. The mind catalogs the day ahead, noting small adjustments, anticipating minor disruptions, ensuring continuity. Attention is quiet, unhurried, thorough. Even leisure is structured. A few books lie open on a table, their pages carefully turned, notes made in precise handwriting. Reading is measured, not hurried. Reflection is calm, contained. Thoughts follow patterns, looping gently around daily tasks, personal duties, and small observations of the world outside. Light changes subtly. The sun, filtered through high windows or shutters, traces a soft arc across the room. Shadows shift, revealing textures, highlighting objects, and altering the feel of the space. Every detail is noted, not obsessively, but with the awareness that life here is maintained through careful attention. The rhythm of domestic life sets the pace. Tasks continue fire tended, tools checked, clothing mended. Each small effort reinforces stability, preserves comfort, and maintains warmth. The body is engaged, but not strained. Movements are familiar, practiced over years. The mind drifts easily between observation and action, thinking of yesterday, anticipating tomorrow, yet grounded firmly in the present. Silence persists. Conversation is brief, functional, limited to necessary exchanges. Words are chosen, deliberate, precise. The calm of the space allows thought to move gently, without pressure, without urgency. Outside, the northern wind presses softly against the thick walls. Snow accumulates in quiet drifts. Animals move in measured steps, aware of routine, adapting to the rhythm of life in the surrounding land. Within the room, there is continuity. Comfort exists, but it is maintained, earned, observed. The privileged life above the cold is structured, deliberate, and attentive. Even in warmth, responsibility remains. Small mistakes could disrupt the balance, so observation continues. Every ember, every object, every subtle sound matters. Fatigue is minimal, yet awareness is constant. Hands continue to move, aligning, adjusting, and preparing for later tasks. Each motion is absorbed into the rhythm of the room. Life here is slow, deliberate, and deliberate again. Stability is the measure of success. Comfort is preserved through repetition, attention, and care. And as the morning wanes, the space remains orderly, warm, and controlled. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to the quiet mastery of existence. You understand now that privilege above the cold is never idle. It is constant work, subtle, gentle, yet unceasing. And in this gentle, steady motion, life continues carefully, softly, patiently, preserving warmth, structure, and the quiet rhythm of enduring comfort. By midday, the life of authority continues quietly, yet with constant awareness. The room is warmer now, heated by well-tended fires, yet the occupants do not relax entirely. There is always observation, always the subtle sense of responsibility pressing against each thought. Papers lie neatly stacked, messages to be read or replied to, decisions pending, choices made carefully. The flow of daily affairs is methodical. Each decision carries weight. Every gesture is measured, as if the room itself expects attention. Servants move in coordinated patterns, quietly anticipating needs before they are spoken. Food is prepared for those present and for visitors, served in measured portions, never rushed, each movement deliberate, each ingredient selected thoughtfully. Books, scrolls, and records are present, offering knowledge and context, but even reading is conducted with a sense of duty rather than leisure. The air is calm, yet full of subtle tension, the kind that comes from responsibility, from the understanding that comfort is maintained through vigilance. Steps echo softly on wooden floors, a gentle reminder of human presence. Walls, adorned with modest decoration, are designed more for warmth and function than for display. Windows are small, heavy with shutters, keeping both cold and distraction at bay. Outside, the northern wind continues its quiet work, reminding all within of the world beyond. The privileged life here is insulated, but never fully detached. Awareness remains constant, flowing from room to room, from task to task. Conversations are brief, purposeful, and precise. Words are chosen with care, conveying information, instructions, or gentle correction. Laughter is rare, subtle, almost imperceptible, as if the weight of responsibility requires restraint. Hands move continuously, attending to objects, aligning, checking, maintaining order. Every motion contributes to the preservation of comfort, the structure of the day, and the rhythm of controlled life. Fatigue is present, but subdued. The body is engaged without strain. The mind remains attentive without frenzy. The day unfolds slowly, measured by small, deliberate acts, each reinforcing the sense of authority and control. Outside, the light shifts gradually, altering the quality of the room, highlighting surfaces, casting soft shadows, reminding the inhabitants that even time moves predictably, patiently. And so the day continues, gently, methodically, the quiet weight of responsibility ever present, shaping each movement, thought, and breath into the soft, enduring rhythm of life above the cold. As afternoon progresses, attention never wavers. Each task follows from the last, a continuous chain of responsibility. Letters are read, notes taken, instructions delivered with quiet precision. The movement of servants remains synchronized, anticipating needs without prompting, maintaining the calm rhythm of daily life. Hands check the fire, replenish coals, adjust wood, ensuring warmth remains steady. The air is rich with a subtle sense of smoke, polished wood, and preserved food. Windows are carefully opened and closed, balancing ventilation and heat retention, a careful act repeated without thought, but with constant awareness. Footsteps are deliberate, echoing softly against the floors, a reminder that presence is maintained even in stillness. Discussions are measured, decisions are weighed carefully. The flow of conversation is controlled, never hurried. Words carry meaning. Silence carries more. Observers would see order, control, a life insulated from hardship. Yet every movement is bound by the invisible weight of authority. Even small mistakes are noted, corrected with gentle firmness, ensuring that the rhythm remains unbroken. Objects are aligned, papers stacked, fires maintained, tools checked, small acts contributing to the overarching stability of the household. Fatigue appears, but it is subtle, a companion rather than a burden. The mind remains alert, aware of what has been done and what remains. Outside, the world moves slowly. Light softens as the day leans toward evening, casting gentle shadows that stretch along walls and floors. The north wind continues its quiet presence beyond closed shutters, a reminder that comfort is never guaranteed. Within the house, comfort exists, but it is earned and maintained, not given freely. The privileged life is marked by structure, order, and vigilance. Rest is always nearby, but never immediate. Every moment is shaped by duty, every breath guided by the rhythm of responsibility. As the day begins its gentle decline, the residents of the house move through a familiar pattern, completing small tasks, preparing for the coming evening, ensuring that the warmth, light, and calm continue uninterrupted. This quiet, measured continuity defines life above the cold. A life where ease is present, but never absolute, where authority brings its own subtle weight, and where every action, word, and thought contributes to the soft, enduring rhythm of a carefully maintained existence. And so, the afternoon fades, leading gently into evening, the quiet persistence of responsibility, shaping the day from beginning to end, a constant reminder that even in comfort, life requires vigilance, patience, and unwavering attention. Evening arrives slowly over the northern household, bringing with it the subtle rituals that mark the passage from day to night. Candles are lit, their soft light reflected in polished surfaces, shimmering gently across wooden beams and stone hearths. The warmth spreads gradually, chasing corners and alcoves that had lain in shadow, creating a space both alive and subdued. Each object has its place, carefully arranged over years of practice. Movements are deliberate, no step is wasted. Hands adjust fabrics, rearrange tools, tend the fire. Nothing is hurried, nothing is neglected. Meals are simple, designed to sustain, to fuel the body for the continued demands of life, not for indulgence. Ingredients are prepared methodically, portions measured with quiet care, ensuring no waste and no sudden surprise. Conversation, when it occurs, is soft and functional. Each word carries meaning. Each sentence fulfills a purpose. Laughter is rare, gentle, almost whispered. Observing these patterns, you notice the invisible order that governs the household. Attention, consistency, and subtle expectation maintain balance. Every task contributes to stability. Arranging garments, checking supplies, tending coals. The weight of responsibility is constant, though not oppressive. It shapes every movement, dictates the pace of work, and guides focus. Shadows lengthen across walls as the candlelight flickers. The wind outside whispers against the building, a subtle reminder that comfort is fragile, preserved only through diligence and care. Within warmth, life is disciplined. Presence is demanded, even in repose. Each day teaches endurance, not through hardship alone, but through continuous attention and measured effort. Fatigue comes gently, encouraging rest without surrender. As evening deepens, the household moves toward preparation for night. Tasks are completed, tools set aside, fires stabilized. The quiet rhythm established over years persists, subtle, steady, unbroken. Inhabitants move with gentle purpose, performing small acts of care that maintain the delicate balance of warmth, light, and order. Presence, awareness, and patient diligence are the threads that bind time together, shaping a household that endures through night and into the cold dawn. Night settles gradually, with a soft insistence that reminds you the passage of time is constant. Fires are tended carefully, embers coaxed to burn steadily, giving warmth, light, and reassurance. Candles flicker, casting long, moving shadows across walls, floors, and ceilings. Silence dominates, yet it is full of subtle activity. Footsteps are gentle, almost imperceptible. Tools adjusted quietly. Supplies moved with intention. Every action is deliberate, measured, maintaining comfort and order. Conversation is minimal, functional, and calm. Words are chosen carefully, exchanged sparingly, never wasted. Awareness remains constant. Every glance, every subtle movement contributes to the steady persistence of the household's quiet stability. Sleep comes gradually, lightly, never rushed, allowing the body to rest while the mind retains gentle vigilance. Hands continue small tasks, even as others rest, folding textiles, adjusting firewood, ensuring coals are ready to provide steady heat. Outside, the northern night presses against walls, wind moving gently through trees, reminding that warmth and safety are maintained only through care. Life above the cold remains structured and deliberate, its rhythm uninterrupted. Each pattern established during the day extends into night. Observation, measured action, attention to detail. Responsibility persists even in comfort. Vigilance continues even as bodies rest. The household moves through night with a soft, deliberate rhythm, ensuring continuity, stability, and gentle assurance. Shadows shift with candlelight, embers glow, and the quiet murmur of minimal movement reinforces presence and care. Inhabitants understand the weight of observation, the need for control, and the constant, unspoken rules that guide behavior. Even in moments of calm, action is quiet, thoughtful, and purposeful. Night stretches long, patient and measured. Sleep is present, but never total. Awareness remains steady and unbroken. Tasks will resume with the first light, but until then, every careful gesture, every observation, every soft movement contributes to a household that continues in enduring order, subtle control, and quiet persistence, sustaining life through cold, darkness, and the slow passage of northern hours. Morning light seeps slowly through narrow windows, pale and patient, touching polished wooden surfaces and a worn stone floor. The household awakens not abruptly, but gradually, each movement precise and deliberate. Those who hold authority rise first, adjusting clothing, checking schedules, observing the order of the day. Servants stir quietly, moving with trained efficiency. Fires are rekindled, embers coaxed to life, water warmed, bread prepared, utensils readied. Each motion is purposeful, each gesture measured. Breakfast is simple and functional, sustaining the body without indulgence, eaten quietly in the presence of oversight. The northern chill lingers outside, yet inside warmth is carefully maintained, layered through multiple small efforts. You notice that comfort is present, but it is controlled. Every object, every piece of furniture, every tool has a place. Order is constant. Decisions, small or large, flow continuously. Letters are read, plans reviewed, instructions delivered with calm precision. Even leisure is structured. Reading, writing, or reflection occurs within boundaries. Words are minimal. Conversation is functional. Silence is observed as part of the rhythm. The weight of responsibility is subtle, felt in the careful monitoring of every detail, in the deliberate pacing of tasks. Even seemingly trivial choices carry consequences. Those who live above the cold carry the burden of vigilance. Attention is continuous, almost imperceptible, a quiet yet unbroken thread through the day. Movement is never hurried, but every act contributes to the smooth functioning of the household. Tasks follow in sequence, almost ritualistic. Fire tended, windows checked, floors swept, animals fed, documents organized. Patterns repeat. Repetition is not boredom. It is the structure that sustains life here. Shadows lengthen as morning gives way to midday. Light shifts softly, reflecting in polished surfaces and illuminating faces with gentle clarity. Authority is exercised subtly, never loudly, woven into the environment, into the very way the household breathes and functions. Every step, every glance, every pause maintains continuity. This is life lived in measured balanced comfort framed by responsibility, warmth guided by discipline, presence maintained through calm awareness. And as the hours progress, the day stretches slowly, deliberately, the rhythm established over decades continuing quietly, steadily, unbroken. As afternoon deepens, the quiet momentum of authority continues. Tasks shift, but the rhythm remains constant. Fires are stirred and coals redistributed. Wood is arranged carefully. Papers, ledgers, and letters are moved, read, and returned to their places. Decisions, small and large, shape the flow of the household. Servants move efficiently, anticipating needs. Nothing is hurried. Conversation is calm, functional, precise. Silence persists as a companion, a marker of awareness and continuity. The weight of responsibility is constant yet subtle. Authority does not shout, it guides. Every movement reinforces structure. Every glance confirms attentiveness. The environment itself responds to vigilance. Rooms remain orderly, light controlled, warmth maintained, tools ready, meals prepared in advance. Fatigue comes slowly, not as a burden, but as a gentle acknowledgement of effort. Rest occurs, but attention lingers. Even in quiet moments, awareness persists. Nights are long in the north, and those who govern understand the need for constant readiness. Shadows lengthen as evening arrives. Fires flicker, casting soft, steady light. Movements are deliberate, measured. Every action maintains continuity. Every choice reflects care. The household functions smoothly, not through haste or spectacle, but through persistent attention and subtle guidance. Comfort exists, yet it is framed by responsibility. Warmth is maintained not for luxury, but for endurance. Authority shapes time, space, and action without excess. Life above the cold is structured, deliberate, continuous. Even as day turns to night, the rhythm remains. Observation, attention, and quiet duty. Sleep is taken, but vigilance persists in mind and body. Presence, awareness, and careful maintenance ensure continuity. The northern day concludes gently, without drama. Its cycles repeated, steady, and unbroken. Every detail, every movement, every pause reinforces the ongoing life of the household, a testament to endurance, responsibility, and quiet control. Now, the day has passed, and so has our journey through quiet lives long ago. We have walked among cold mornings, deliberate work, and long stretches of waiting. We have glimpsed the discipline of Sparta, the measured endurance of soldiers, the silent rhythms of monks and scholars, and the careful management of power in northern halls. Every life was structured, every moment purposeful, every day shaped by need and circumstance. You may notice that comfort was rare, but not entirely absent. It was measured, contained, and earned. Warmth came not simply from fire, but from routine, from understanding, from the quiet maintenance of life itself. The northern world was not soft, and yet it offered its own lessons in persistence and attention. Hardship existed, but so did endurance. Silence was not emptiness. It was a companion, a marker of order, a gentle rhythm that guided daily life. Imagine yourself there, standing quietly, observing without urgency. The wind moves softly through trees. Snow rests on branches. Animals settle in familiar paths. The land waits patiently, indifferent yet persistent. Inhabitants move with purpose, small gestures echoing across space. Each task a quiet statement of survival. Consider the weight of responsibility. Leaders, whether abbots, senators, or masters of households, experienced a different kind of endurance. Their comfort existed within walls, fires, and order, but vigilance never ceased. Warm rooms and prepared meals were paired with constant attention, with decisions that rippled through lives. Even power demanded patience, observation, and quiet care. To live above the cold was not to escape it, but to manage it in a different form. And yet life, in all its forms, shared the same undercurrent: routine, repetition, and the gentle persistence of habit. Children learned through observation, copying, and quiet instruction. Workers labored steadily, their movements precise, conserving energy, repeating patterns that ensured survival. Evenings drew slowly, nights were long, and sleep came gradually, light and fragmented, yet restorative enough to continue. The rhythm of days shaped bodies and minds alike, teaching endurance without spectacle. You may let your mind drift through these scenes now. Notice the continuity of life across time and space. Notice how simplicity and attention formed the foundation of living. Notice how cold, silence, and repetition shaped people into beings capable of quiet strength. Every small task, every gesture, every moment of patience contributed to something larger than comfort. A life endured, a rhythm maintained, a quiet world navigated with care. Now, as you rest in your own space, warm and safe, you can carry these impressions gently with you. The distant cold fades, yet the patterns remain. Routine, discipline, endurance, and observation are reminders of how life persisted long before us, and how it can slow us, even briefly, in our own time. There is no need to remember every detail. No need to act on what you have seen. Simply let it pass, like soft snow falling across the landscape, quiet and unhurried. The world you have visited is far removed from your own. Yet, in the silence, there is a connection, a shared understanding of life's gentle persistence, a reminder that ordinary lives, though unnoticed, shape the course of history in ways large and small. You have observed, you have imagined, and now you may let go. Rest now, as the northern night stretches long. Let the quiet lessons, the rhythms of work, the calm endurance of past lives, and the gentle weight of observation soothe you. There is no urgency. No task remains unfinished. Just the slow, steady passage of time. Breath, calm, and presence. And as sleep comes gradually, let these quiet worlds fade softly from your mind. Let the northern winds carry you through gentle dreams. Let the patterns of life long ago merge with your own stillness. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to remember. Only quiet, only endurance, only the slow rhythm of the world.